Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for September 21st. September 21st is the 264th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 265th in leap years, with 101 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is cleavage. Cleavage is a noun that actually has to do with the way a thing separates or divides or splits. For example, cleavage is the tendency of a mineral to break along specific planar surfaces, according to what kind of mineral it is. In this case, cleavage is the name given to planes of weak bonds in minerals where the mineral will break, leaving a smooth surface. Minerals have a predictable cleavage pattern, whether it's a cleavage in one direction, so that the mineral splits into sheets, like muscovite mica, or cleavage in two directions, like feldspar, cleavage in three directions, where it breaks off into cubes, like halite or salt, or calcite, which breaks into three directions, but at less than 90 degrees, more of a rhombohedral shape. Some minerals' cleavage is indistinct, like quartz. Other than that, cleavage might be the action of cleaving or splitting, whether we're talking about cell division, molecules, atoms, or social classes. Cleavage represents some sort of division that is usually sharp and clearly defined. First known use of the word cleavage is in the early 1800s. Cleavage. The word cleavage was requested by one of my viewers. Thank you so much. If you have a word you'd like us to explore in this Word of the Day section, drop it in the comments and we'll take a look at it. And with that, this is the birthday of French-Canadian explorer Louis Joliet, born September 21st, 1645. He did a good bit of exploration and discovery in North America, along with Catholic priest and missionary Father Jacques Marquette. They were the first non-natives to explore and map the upper Mississippi River. The cities of Joliet, Illinois, Joliet, Montana, Joliet, Quebec are named after him. He was in his mid-50s when he died in 1700. The American Revolutionary War broke out in April of 1775. New York City was already an important business center by then, and of course it hadn't grown to its current size, but at the time was contained on the southern part of Manhattan Island. So the American Revolution had been going on by now for almost a year and a half, when on September 20th, 1776, a fire broke out in New York City. This fire got out of hand pretty quickly and burned through the night and into the morning of September 21st. Somewhere between 10 and 25% of the buildings were destroyed by fire, and the ones that hadn't burned were looted and plundered. Everyone, regardless of which side they were on, whether British or American Revolutionary, everyone felt strongly that the other side had started the fire deliberately. While it's certainly possible that someone from one side or the other might have started the Great Fire on purpose, it's just as likely, and perhaps more likely, that the genesis of this particular fire was an accident of some sort, and that wind and wooden roof shingles contributed to the rapid spread and devastation of the 1776 Great Fire of New York. Now, Benedict Arnold, that's a name that has become a synonym for traitor. Seems like Benedict Arnold was kind of a whiny, pouty guy with a sense of entitlement. He felt he'd been bypassed for a promotion and that people had it in for him. But it might simply have been that people didn't quite trust him. He'd been investigated for fraud, mishandling of money. He'd decided he'd get even with George Washington and everyone else by handing West Point over to the British. He did manage to give the British plans to West Point on September 21st, 1780, and he intended to surrender the fort to the British, but that didn't work out for him. He was found out before he could get that done. His plot was discovered. His accomplice was captured and executed. He did manage to strike a deal with the British to come over to their side for a sum of money and a promotion. Benedict Arnold took his proverbial pieces of silver and moved to England, where, as it turns out, nobody over there liked him either. Today's song is Harper Valley PTA by Jeannie C. Riley, number 1 on September 21st, 1968. Here's another great story song written by Tom T. Hall. This was Ms. Riley's debut record and it sold over 6 million copies. Was the only song of hers to hit the top 40, though. It's a story song, very entertaining. The story goes that Harper Valley PTA took it upon themselves to send a note home with a teenage girl scolding the girl's mother for wearing short skirts, drinking, and running around with men, saying that she shouldn't be raising her daughter that way. Even if their accusations were true, attempting to shame someone is not really the most effective way of getting people to behave differently. In the long run, the note infuriated the girl's mother, so she went to the next PTA meeting to point out a few little facts that they missed about their own behavior and called them hypocrites. The inspiration for this song came from a similar event that Mr. Hall witnessed in his town of Olive Hill, Kentucky back in the 1940s. Harper Valley PTA by Jeannie C. Riley, number 1, September 21st, 1968. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. And you can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Oh, get your microphone. Okay. Phone over there. Hello. Okay. With 202 days remaining to the end of the world. End of the year. Please, not the end of the world. 202 days remaining to the end of the year. Let's read that one again. Maybe I should ask Google how to pronounce that.
How do you go about pronouncing his name? Paulo Coelho.
Coelho.
Paulo Coelho. Pretty straightforward once you know. Paulo Coelho.
Google is so smart. Yep, it is. That's what it's called. All right. Attracting. Just read the whole thing over. You know what? Maybe we can leave that one off. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. I don't know. Can I get this edited? Let's find out. All righty. Back to work. I think we got it this time.